So I'm telling you, like, as a first degree relative of Corey Haim, it just, a lot of the things that were said weren't true.
I know you gonna dig this. Get funky with me.
What's going on, everybody? How you doing today? So here I am in Toronto, my hometown, which is also the hometown of my guest tonight. And this is very exciting. I'm going to bring her into the room right now. She's backstage. This is how it works on StreamYard. This is Cari Haim.
Hi,
Cari.
Hi, Scott. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. We've been talking for a while. It's good to see you face to face, sort of.
It's best we can do for now, right?
Yeah. It's weird, right?
It's so weird.
It's so weird.
Yeah, I miss people.
Yeah, I know. So for people that don't know, you are Corey Haim's sister.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is true.
And yeah, we are going to talk about you. We're going to talk about Corey. Talk about a whole bunch of different things. We're going to do this two-parter thing, and I'm going to try to not have these interruptions.
Okay.
So let's start with the fact. Well, I think what's interesting is the fact that I've done a few videos about Corey, and it took a mutual friend of ours, a viewer, that put us in touch with each other because I hadn't contacted you or anything, and then Philip, one of our viewers, talked to somebody who knew you, and then you got in touch with me, and back and forth. But it's such a I said it on a couple of videos. It's such a small world because we grew up probably 2 blocks from each other.
We did, and it's actually just funny because I just was looking through the high school yearbook, and I did find that your sister and I were in the same year. I found your picture, and I'm like, the next picture, the next page over. And I know we have a lot of we have a lot of mutual friends, you and I, and it's a crazy small world. Yeah,
it's really weird, especially like, I mean, I just, drop a couple of words like Nymark Plaza, and you're like, oh,
that's where my orthodontist was. Yeah.
There you go. I mean, for North Toronto kids, it's a special sort of, we all kind of do know someone who knows each other, and Willowdale is kind of the area known, but it's North Toronto. But we all kind of know each other and know someone who knows someone. Sure. And it's just the way I've said that before about Toronto. Toronto's a huge city, but it's a small town, especially where we're from.
Yeah, it's like Toronto. I always say like Toronto's like a city of neighborhoods, and in your little neighborhood pockets, you always know someone who knows someone. And the more you and I talk, the more we find people that we both know. So it's kind of weird that we haven't met in person.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is also you watched my recent video about Corey, and I use a piece of music by someone named Jory Nash.
He's very crazy talented, Jory Nash. Yeah.
And that's how you vetted me to see if I was okay to contact. Because you thought if it was Jory, he might be okay.
Jory's a good guy, and so if you know Jory and I know Jory, then I know you're a good guy to talk to. So yeah, and Corey and Jory were in grade 1 together. I have a class picture of both of them together, and Jory's like a very freakishly talented Canadian musician. So look him up, guys. He's amazing.
Yes, he does not get the. I put his music in probably once every 3 or 4 videos, and I just wish more people would discover his music outside of Canada because he's so talented. He's so talented. Yeah. Okay. So why don't I start with a couple of questions? So I've got a lot of questions. Well, first of all, I think my first question about, we're going to talk about your life. We're going to talk about Corey's life, a whole bunch of different things.
Okay.
One thing I'm really interested in is because when I was growing up in the 80s, when I was little, I at first didn't know that Corey Haim was from down the street.
Right.
I just knew him as this, actor that was, Lucas was what I first heard of him. It was before License to Drive. And then, it blew my mind to know that this superstar, playing at the same hockey arena as me. Yeah. And then it blew my mind that he was dating Alyssa Milano, who I had the biggest crush on. It's still kind of true. Yeah. Did you know Alyssa? This is a question.
I did. Yeah. We were friends, and because I was in I didn't live there sort of full time, but I was there a lot. I was there for a full summer, and I was there a lot of the time. So she and I were friends, and I would sleep over at her house, and we had Christmas with her family a couple times, which was really nice. And
yeah. I mean, that to me is mind blowing, because just I've gotten to talk to celebrities and meet celebrities over here, but someone like that, like just to bring it back to like, there's not celebrity now like there was in the 80s. It was a different feel, 80s and 90s, before social media. You know, everyone's but back then,
now you're so close to people, and there's a chance that the person that you love the most, celebrity wise, might like your tweet or might. So you kind of can connect to them. And in the 80s, that wasn't a possibility. They were so far removed, unless you were physically nearby.
Right.
There was no way they'd even know you exist on the planet. Right. And now there's kind of a chance that they would interact with you in some small way.
It's crazy. The thing to talk to Corey Haim back then, to think to talk to Alyssa Milano would be outrageous. No, of course not. Of course you're not going to. But now it is. And also Heather Grant. I mean, everybody, I think every little boy wanted to be Corey Haim.
Yeah.
And also wanted to date Heather Graham, and and every girl wanted Corey Haim. I'm sure a few boys wanted Corey Haim. You know, I mean, what a time! What a time!
Crazy, yeah.
It's been crazy for you to be witnessing that.
It was. It became, whatever your life is, especially when you're a kid, that becomes your normal, right? So, when my brother started, we were both trying to act a little bit here in Toronto, and then we were about 10, 11. Or so. And then when he got his first film in New York, it was because they couldn't find an American child. That film was Firstborn with Terry Garr. It was like the drama that she wanted to do. And so he played her youngest son. And they had auditioned kids in a number of American cities, and then they couldn't cast it properly. And they came to Toronto, and they weren't trying to find a Canadian kid, but they found my brother. They quite liked him. And then the movie went on in New York. And because it had really well-known producers and so on, it snowballed from there. Those producers introduced my brother to so on and so on and so on. And then he got an American agent, and on it went. And he just hit at a good time for him.
What was his first? What was his first acting role? Was it a commercial? Was it Edison Twins?
No, it was Edison Twins.
It was Edison Twins. Was his first time on camera ever?
I think so. I'm not remembering anything prior to that.
Edison Twins is a Canadian TV show for people that don't know. I actually didn't really watch it until after, like in repeats. Like I watched it.
It's a cool show.
I'd always thought that he was like one of the Edison Twins, one of the stars. He was only on for one season.
Yeah, he was. The premise of the show was there's these two older teenage twins, and they love science, and there was always a real life science component at the end. There'd be like a cartoon explaining the concept. It was a really cool show. So these twins, and then they had a small brother. And my brother, Corey, was the friend of the little brother. He wasn't a main character. So he did, 5 or 6 episodes, maybe more. But just a few. And
you would think he was a star, though. You would think the way people remember the Edison Twins, Corey Haim.
Yeah, no. He was just like the friend of the little brother. And it was a cute little show.
And you're an actress too.
I am. So I do a lot of things. I have a real job. In my grown-up job, I'm actually a teacher. I teach deaf and hard of hearing students. So that's kind of cool. Right now we're all in lockdown, so I'm teaching them on the computer, which is tricky. And I am an actor and a writer, and so I do some acting here in Toronto, and I'm planning to shoot a short film that I wrote in the spring. So I'll tell you more about that maybe another time, because that's going to be an exciting venture for me.
We'll definitely talk about that during one of these two, and then we'll get back to it later as well. But
sure.
like a real talk show, we're plugging something.
Yeah, sure. So
people say I'm not Jimmy Fallon, so I may as well act like him. So, okay, we'll go. I think since we're going to do it 2 parts, I picked about 10 to 12 questions from people, and I've got a million in my head. Okay. I've got a million, but I want to, and luckily now that I'm friends with you, I could always just text you.
We could do
at 1 in the morning and say, Cari, by the way, I want to know this about Corey. Right away.
Sleeping.
Sleeping. Don't stop asking me about Lost Boys. So Nicole Buchanan, who is a viewer of my channel, asks if Corey wasn't okay, and I think I know the answer to this. So let me guess the answer.
Okay.
This is like I've always said. I'm not a journalist. I'm not a professional interviewer. This is a conversation.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So if anybody thinks I talk too much, sorry, but I do. If Corey wasn't in acting, what would he have done? Now here's my guess: hockey player. Yes. That's what he would have wanted to be.
I would think probably yes. That was a good question, Nicole. We grew up playing hockey and skating because Canadian kids, and we lived from the time I was about 5 and he was about 3. We lived in this townhouse complex for a few years where the dads would flood the grass in the back in the communal little playground area, and we had basically a skating rink in the backyard for the neighborhood.
Wow! So
you could go out the back gate and skate, which was amazing. So we learned how to skate really young, and our dad was our coach. So I only played hockey for 1 year. I didn't love it. My brother played hockey for a number of years in the area we grew up in, Willowdale, and he was quite good. And so he played for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I don't know, a long time. And he was good. And our dad was our coach. So we took it pretty seriously. So even later when he went to California, when he had chances to skate, he loved to do that and would like that. He just loved it. So we were sporty kids.
Yeah. Someone sent me a picture of Corey on a hockey team, like a team picture, and your father was the coach.
Yeah. So he coached all of our teams. We played baseball as well in the summer, and he coached both of our teams every summer. So I don't know how he was doing that, both teams. But we took the sports pretty seriously when we were kids. So yeah, he would have loved. I don't think he was good enough to be like in the NHL, but he did play hockey pretty seriously as a kid. Yeah, he loved it.
Well, I mean, I played hockey my entire life as well, and I remember seeing a clip of Corey skating when I was a kid. I forget what it was for. I think it was when he made a promotional video about himself and skating in it. And I remember watching and thinking, that guy's better than I could ever be. Like, I could tell by the way he skated that he was.
Yeah, he was a skater. Like we were both skaters. Yeah.
So here's a question from Sawyer Smoke. Maybe you know the answer, maybe you don't. But what movie did Corey enjoy doing the most?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think he got something out of all of them, because in a lot of the movies he'd make friends, and being on a movie set, it's kind of like going to camp, like summer sleepover camp in a way, because especially if you're on location, you're with this group of people for for 2 months or whatever it is. And that becomes like your little family, and he liked that atmosphere a lot. Lucas was really fun because he loved that character so much and the story, and made so many friends on that set. Friends that I'm still friendly with somebody.
Well, in the film.
I was in the film a tiny bit. And I'm still good friends with I don't know if you remember, but there was the guy who played the big bully, Bruno. Yeah. So he and I are still good friends. So he's in California, but we chat every now and again. He's lovely. And I think sometimes it's also in retrospect too, like when you see what the film became. So like, because Lucas was popular and Lost Boys and License to Drive, like the experiences were amazing, but then when he was able to look back and go, oh my gosh, I made this thing, or I was in this thing, that became sort of a cultural touchstone or something. Like, I think he felt a lot of pride in that. He just liked working generally. Like, he always had a good time. So I don't know if he had like a real favorite, but he just really enjoyed the experiences.
Is it true that for Dream a Little Dream, he was going to play the lead, but he said he wanted to play the secondary part?
As far as I know, that is true. I don't know a lot of the details of that one. But
did he break his arm in real life?
He broke his leg. He actually really broke his leg. Yeah. He had an accident, he broke it, so they put it in, and it worked out. Poor guy.
Yeah, it does. It gives his character that little sort of extra weirdness. That the character,
which worked for him. Yeah,
walking around the cane. Okay. Well, Gloria Salinas asks, and well, he dated so many beautiful ladies. Who did Corey Haim love? Did he ever fall in love?
I think he did. I think love was something that came very easily to my brother. He loved a lot of things and a lot of people. I think he really loved Nicole Eggert, who I'm still in touch with also, actually.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah. So she's doing well.
Great.
Yeah. I think he was really in love with Holly Fields. Like, he just loved people and he loved his friends. He had a lot of, I think he would have wanted to sort of eventually get married and settle down and whatever. Like, he liked the idea of that. Yeah, he had a girlfriend named Jo, who was British, and she was lovely. And yeah, I think he just, whatever he did kind of like wholeheartedly. So if he was with someone, like, that was his person, and he would devote himself to you. He was just like that. So yeah.
That's sweet. I mean, from all the people that I've spoken to that, especially in the neighborhood, like our neighborhood growing up, not one bad word about Corey. Everybody, the nicest, most down to earth, sweetest guy.
Definitely very down to earth, I gotta say. Like, even with all the Hollywood, whatever, the nonsense from Hollywood, and it is a really weird way to live, and it's not normal. He didn't really get super jaded, and he would love talking to people. So that was nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody else asked a question, kind of, actually, Steve Vorgis asked a question kind of like this. How did he feel about being a child actor? Did he feel his childhood was rushed, or did he feel cheated that he lost part of his childhood? That sort of ping pongs from what you said.
That's a really good question. I don't think he felt cheated. I think other things in his life affected him more than being a child actor. He really enjoyed it. Like, school, he was not a school kid. School was very difficult for him. I think he had like some undiagnosed learning disabilities. School was a real challenge for him as a little kid and even older. So even the concept of getting tutored on set, because when you work as a kid, you still have to do school and they get a teacher for you. That probably worked out better for him because it was just one-on-one, because he didn't do very well in school. He didn't feel very accomplished there. So when he was able to do the acting thing, I think he felt like it was a skill that he had and something he could do, and it was productive, and he felt good about it. I think, my parents getting divorced affected him more deeply than being a child actor. I do.
Wow, that's
yeah,
like a regular person.
Like a regular person. I mean, having said that, I don't think acting is a great thing for little kids to do full time, because people treat little kids on the set like they're little adults, and I don't think that's good. I think things have changed over the years. Like, as we've learned more about this kind of thing, there's more rules and there's more laws and there's people watching to see how the kids are. But the way my brother grew up, and especially when you're the star of the movie or one of the main characters, you're working and it's an adult industry. And I don't think that is ideal. I think kids love acting, a lot of them. I think theater is a better way to go. Like, if any of your viewers have children who want to do acting, and I'm an actor, but I don't recommend film and television for little kids all the time. I think theater is amazing and it gives you a lot of good skills, and it's a little bit different.
For sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to put my kid into acting full time personally. Having said that, I think it was actually a positive thing for my brother in a lot of ways, because he felt confident when he was doing it.
And you were out there, right? You moved to LA at the same time. You lived out there during
we did. I ended up coming back here to Toronto actually when I was 16, because I wanted to finish high school here.
That's that's weird. I mean, not weird. That's just, I mean, that's interesting to me. You decided to come right back and go.
I did. Yeah, it was weird. I mean, I was doing some acting out there and I got hired for a couple of things. But then I really decided I wanted to go and finish school, and it was going to be my last year of high school, and I didn't want to move in my last year.
Yeah.
And also the school that we were zoned for was the Beverly Hills High School. And I didn't think I'd fit in. So I went to visit it. And
I think there's a TV show based on that premise.
This was pre-90210, but I was like, I don't think a Toronto girl is good for this place. So I came back to Toronto, lived with friends of the family and finished high school. But I was going out quite a little bit to visit.
And you miss Pickle Barrel.
Oh, of course I miss the Pickle Barrel. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we lived so close by. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. I haven't eaten there in probably about 6 months, and it kills me.
Well, because now with the whole lockdown thing, and my son, my little guy, he's 8, and he loves the French toast there.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Oh my gosh. So he would just die to go there, but hopefully
they shorten their menu because of the pandemic, so there's hardly anything. It's like I'm gonna when it's open again, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna.
We're going for sure.
So we're gonna ask another question from my friend Mike Pagliaccio, but it's Mike Barone. Okay. Mike, and I filmed with Mike before. He's a great guy, very talented. And he says, how difficult was it for him to play a character like Lucas, considering he was the polar opposite of that character in real life?
Well,
he's talented.
He was an actor, so I mean, I guess that's kind of a cool challenge for an actor. Like if you're always playing someone who's just like you, then that's not much of a challenge. The director and writer of that film, David Seltzer, who I'm also in touch with periodically, he's lovely. Nice. It was such a beautiful script and it was such a nice movie. Yeah, I love that movie so much.
Oh, it's a beautiful movie.
Yeah, and so I think it was just so well written. And the director was just so kind and giving that he was really able to help Corey do that role. I think he just liked the challenge of that because that's the fun of it, right? Is trying to play someone totally opposite of you.
Yeah, I think my favorite movie, and a lot of people when they write me about Corey Haim is Lost Boys.
For sure.
I mean, that movie has you were telling me the other day on the phone, you went to a screening of it not too long ago. Yeah. I mean, it has an enduring quality. Yeah. I went to Santa Cruz last year or the year before, and I mean, it's an industry unto of itself. Yeah. Lost Boys industry. It's
just so iconic, right? It's just such a look to it.
Were you on the set at all for that?
I was. Yep. Yeah. For a little bit, not the whole time, but I was there for a while. I saw the cave.
The cave set or because I went to the cave where they set. You went to the inside?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That was very cool.
Was that the Warner lot? Was that where they did that?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. It was a neat place to be. And it was a cool movie, yeah.
Did Kiefer's a fellow Canadian. Did he recognize that in Corey and you guys, and the three of you talk about that?
I don't remember actually having too many conversations with Kiefer, to be honest with you. Yeah. We just kind of kept to ourselves a little bit more. But I mean, I remember him being very nice and very pleasant. I know that whenever we work or my brother worked with Canadians, like that's, how it is when you see someone in the States and you're Canadian, you just feel, I know you, I know where you're from, love me. So
my dog just jumped into the closet for some reason.
Hello, dog.
That means, and also it's 34 years ago it's filmed because it came out in 87. So that's a long time to think back and remember what happened. Now, so on Lost Boys, I believe that would be the first film he did with Corey Feldman, correct?
I believe so. Yep, that's where they met.
Yeah, I think they met on that set. Yep. So, because a few people have asked me about Corey Feldman. Brexton, I know you and I talked earlier about Corey Feldman, but we're not going to touch on that too much. But Brexton asked, was Corey Feldman a bad influence on Corey? And tell me a little bit about their friendship, what you remember about it.
Okay, so when Lost Boys happened, they were teenagers, right? They were 15, 16, 15-ish years old. And so they did become friends when they were kids. And then it became this two Corys thing because the odds of having two, nice Jewish boys, both named Corey, spelled the same way, which is also unusual. And they did become friends and were friends for a number of years. So that's all true. I think after doing a number of films together and whatever, both of them got a little tired of it. Like, it's kind of weird to always have your life attached to someone else's when it's not like your twin or something.
Yeah.
And, they had good times, they had bad times. I think, though, the more recent discussions about Corey Feldman is basically about the last sort of decade of my brother's life. They weren't friends.
Right.
They occasionally did work together. They did that to Corey's reality show, which was heavily scripted, but whatever, because they always are.
Yeah.
But they did that, and they, even if they did a publicity thing, people need to work, right? And so even when they did sort of work together in that last decade, I wouldn't consider them friends. Like, friends are people that you call them up and you go out socially, and your families get together, and you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
So yeah, I knew Corey Feldman when we were teenagers and whatever, but they weren't really friends for the last decade or so, and people don't like that, which I get.
They want to believe that they were best friends forever.
Which I get. Like, I understand that, because like, if I was, you know, when I was a kid, like a teenager, and I was like a big fan of, I don't know, soap operas or whatever, and I'd want to believe that the husband and wife in that soap opera were together. You know, I wanted to believe that. And then I find out later that they hated each other. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, they belong together, right?
Yeah.
And I think people just really want to believe that they were best friends, and they were when they were kids.
Right.
Right. So
you grow up and you don't have the same best friends that you have when you were.
I think my brother always had like a feeling of nostalgia towards him, and you know, because when you think back on a friend that you had a long time ago, you think back on them, you're like, oh, that was a nice time, but people move on, right? So unfortunately, when my brother died 10 years ago, a lot of things were coming out, and Corey Feldman was talking quite a little bit about my brother, and he has his own reasons for doing that and saying what he says. I don't know what they are. Just because we want it to be true doesn't make it true. So I'm telling you, like, as a first-degree relative of Corey Haim, it just, a lot of the things that were said weren't true. That's
right. It's good to have you on and say that.
It makes me sad, because I don't like lies. I don't like falsehoods. And sometimes people say lies and they believe that they're true. And I don't know if that's the case in this situation, because I'm not in Corey Feldman's brain. You know, I just don't. It's unfortunate. My brother's been gone 10 years, right? It's been a long time already.
Yeah.
And so as his family, of course, we think about him and we talk about him every day, and we visit the cemetery, and we, you know, I talk about him with my kids, because my kids never met him. But it's kind of disconcerting to think that other people are talking about him and spreading falsehoods and saying horrible things about him, and saying, because they want things to be true, and they make up these conspiracy theories and whatever. There's nothing we can do about that. You know, it makes me sad that people waste their time doing it.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I wasn't. People are going to say, well, she doesn't know because she wasn't there. True. I didn't live with my brother, so I don't know every single detail, but we talked. He was very, very, very close with my mom.
Yeah.
And of course they talked all the time because they lived together.
Yeah.
So I know just from being in this family, like, you know, from being in your own family and from your own, everybody knows from their own families, the little stories. And then there's always rumors. Oh, I thought this happened and that happened. No, like.
And especially when somebody is that level of stardom, there's going to be, like you said, there's going to be stuff made up, and there's going to be rumors and conspiracy theories, which drive me absolutely crazy.
And I think I get it. People, I mean, I have celebrities that not so much now, but that I looked up to back in the day, and you kind of want to feel like you know something about them. You want to feel like you're closer to them, which it's kind of a normal thing, and you just want a connection. So I think when people think, oh, I know what happened to Corey on this movie or that movie, and I know this and that, I get it. But the fact is, you probably don't know. And it's okay to not know. It's okay to still love that celebrity person and admire them and whatever, and just not know everything about their personal life.
So well said. I love the way you said that. It's so true. Like, I mean, like, you don't have to know everything, and you don't have to say, like, not everybody is going to know. Not everybody's going to know what Corey went through.
Right. Nobody knows. And nobody knows. The bottom line is this. I know there's rumors about, I'm sure we'll get to the abuse question at some point, but we know that my brother was abused by somebody, and we do know who that person is.
Right.
And that was that person, Dominic, whose last name is escaping me, but it'll come back, Brasher. And he passed away a couple of years ago. We know that it's him. Like, it was my mom walked in on a situation, right? And then this is all public knowledge already. We know all this. My mom has spoken about it openly. And I know because not recently, obviously, I spoke to my brother about it. We know this. People want to believe that it was something that happened on Lucas. It wasn't. Like, I was on the set of Lucas every day for the entire shoot.
We may as well address it now. We're talking about the Charlie Sheen allegation, and you were there, and
I was there.
And I mean, to me, that's absolutely ludicrous to even think that. I mean, when it's been said what actually happened, just believe the actual facts. And then Charlie Sheen's name comes up. It's like,
okay, so
the guys are weird, but
like Charlie Sheen is, and I did know Charlie, and you have to remember when we shot Lucas, Charlie was 19 years old. I was 15. Corey was 13. So we were kids. Okay. So I knew him fairly well, as far as things go on a movie set. And
you know what, Cari? Before you continue, you know what I think we should do?
What should we do?
I think we should continue this on the next interview, because this is where it's going to get interesting. What do you think?
That works for me.
People coming back for part 2.
Sounds good to me.
Not to interrupt you, but I think that's a good place to do it. All right. So we will be back in touch. Well, we're going to continue the interview.
Okay.
It's going to be in 2 parts.
Perfect.
Okay, good to have you on, everybody. Tune in for part 2. Peace out. Thank you, Cari.
See you soon.